Hello. Try this again. My name is Don O'Doherty. Welcome to my YouTube channel, The Socratic Connection, where I talk about philosophy while I catch up on my exercising. So, I am planning to make YouTube videos Monday, Wednesday, Friday, split up between my different body or muscle groups. Monday is going to be legs, Wednesday is pushing, and Friday is pulling, but with a little bit of a twist. See, I've always been a bit of a martial arts geek throughout my life, so instead of just doing squats on leg day, I'm going to be doing taekwondo and other assorted kicks. Wednesdays is going to be parkour-based exercises, so like vaults, QMs, quadrupedal movement type things, and some capoeira. And Fridays is going to be, I guess, other striking stuff like punching. If I can get into jiu-jitsu, then I'll be making videos doing jiu-jitsu drills in my backyard, as well as one of my favorite things, weapons. So tonight I want to talk about some Antifa stuff while I work out. Real quick, I'm going to put my S Pen back over here. I think that's called an S Pen. So, now if you like the content of this, please leave a comment and let me know. All the like and subscribe stuff, of course, goes without saying, but I will say it anyways. If you like, subscribe, share, and please feel free to donate. I have a Bitcoin down in the description, as well as a subscribe star. So I'm going to start with some. So, if you've been paying attention, I'm going to warm up with some agility drills. Yeah, so I'm kind of out of shape, right? I did do a lot of martial arts growing up, but it was more of a casual, fun thing. I was never like really competitive in it. And I was a bit of a stoner that just had something I like to do for exercise, for fun. It wasn't even for exercise, it was just something I liked doing, and the physical benefit was a side benefit. Right. It's kind of hard to see this ladder at night. Whew. This is the warm-up. Alright, so anyways. Antifa stabbed a guy the other day. There was a Million MAGA march, and Antifa stabbed a guy. So, why is there a Million MAGA march? I want to get into that real fast. So, a lot of people see democracy as this big value, a big virtue. I don't, but a lot of people do. And there's a lot of people, myself included, that believe that the recent election was rigged for Biden. And there's a lot of good reasons to think this. There's a lot of voting machines that reported Biden votes, or they reported Trump votes as Biden votes. There were dead people that voted. There's just all sorts of craziness. And Trump predicted this would happen early on when he was criticizing mail-in ballots. Oh yeah, I'm going to be out of breath this whole time because I ate bad today and I didn't sleep good last night. That's why I'm trying to make videos too. Some personal accountability. If you see me struggling in the video, feel free to make fun of me for it down in the comments. So anyways, he knew this would happen, predicted it because of the whole mail-in thing, and there's a lot of people that believe that, the reason that, lost my train of thought. Oh yeah, a lot of people believe that these lockdowns and COVID and whatnot was exaggerated so they could push for mail-in ballots because mail-in ballots are easier to corrupt. easier to fake. And it makes sense if you think about it. I mean, Joseph Stalin said that it's not your vote that counts, it's whoever counts the votes. Okay, I'm going to give this up. This ladder is light in color, but it's green and is on top of grass, and I don't have contacts in. My vision is not good, but it's okay, because that's not even my favorite warm-up. Anyways. So, the idea of democracy, that the people of a country, the citizens of a country, get to pick their next president, has failed because it's been corrupted. Now, to the Democrats, the people on the left that put democracy as their highest virtue, do they care? No, they don't care about an honest election. I'm not going to just stand here and talk. I'm going to try and work out. So, okay. This is actually a new exercise to me, relative. Okay, so. Oh yeah. So democracy being an important virtue to a lot of these people. Now that there's valid accusations about the election being not legit, the left is telling them, Trump supporters want to just shut up and accept it. Well, they didn't do that for the last 4 years. Okay, I think that's halfway done my warm-up. And today I'm just doing legs. And so I know this is going to be the first recording that I post on YouTube. So the things I've said in my other videos, I've explained sort of my plan, but I'm just going to reiterate it here. Like I said, I want to hold myself accountable. So if I'm out of breath or whatever, I plan on doing these consistently. So maybe in 6 months to a year time, when I have a lot better discipline and I've kind of lost some of this weight that I've gained over the years, gotten into better shape, I can look back on these and laugh. So I'm not editing this. Because there's a lot of people on like Instagram and YouTube that they're already in really good shape and they're giving exercise tutorials. But how do you know that the thing that they're showing you is the same thing they used? If I ever come up with use my product or buy my routine book or whatever, I'm not going to do any of that. But if I were to recommend something, you could say, well, we actually have video evidence of him doing this for like a year, and look at his transformation. So, but I'm going to try and work out and explain it while I talk about politics and philosophy or whatever. And it's going to be a different thing every night. So I'm not going to talk about politics every single night. Anyways, so this Million MAGA March. Oh, okay, so I did my warm-up, but now I'm doing what I call the black belt jumping jack, or the black belt jump rope, which is, instead of, just jumping in place like you will with the jump rope, you get in a fighting stance and you kind of bounce, but you exaggerate it a little bit. See, normally in a sparring match, you don't really want to come up off the ground too much. You kind of want to be light like this, but you're practicing moving back and forth like that, and then switching your feet. I like to do a lot of moving like this as part of my warm-up because Taekwondo movement is not everything, but it's like 60%. Like, for real. You can really keep yourself from getting hit by just knowing when and how to move at the right time. And if you want to get in to hit your opponent, you need to know how to move in quickly and properly to set yourself up for a kick. So, anyways, where was my train of thought? Tisk, tisk, tisk. Oh yeah, Million MAGA March. All these people, there was like 500,000 to like 1.5 million Trump supporters in Washington, D.C. And of course, what does the left do? What do these crazy anti-Trump people do? And okay, I'm big on philosophy. I don't like to just assert something without backing it up. So it's going to be hard for me to keep up if I keep doing this, but I'd rather do it this way than not. When I say crazy anti-Trump people, I'm generally talking about Trump derangement syndrome, people that hate him simply because everyone else hates him, and they don't really have a good reason. There's a really good video out there called The Moment Everyone Started to Hate Trump, and it explains it well, but really briefly, for the longest time, there were the two parties, Republicans and Democrats, and they were pretty much the same. There was not very much difference between them. And everyone knew it, so much that it didn't really matter who you voted for. And Democrats and Republicans got along because they knew they were the same thing. Now, what this meant was they all supported big wars. They all supported, like endless wars, corporatism, high taxes on everybody, a restricted economy. I mean, shit under Bush, Obama, Bush Sr., Clinton, it was bad. Obama gave us a really bad recession, the housing bubble that was caused by government policy, not the banks. Banks were forced to accept loans that were not good. Sorry, not accept loans, handout loans. Anyways, so all these people made things worse, and then Trump comes out, and he's literally, legitimately not a politician. My entire life, people have been bitching about politicians. Oh, the last thing we need is another politician. Politicians are, the most dishonest people in the world. Blah, blah, blah. Here Trump comes along, first time ever being a politician, and speaks exactly what's on his mind. You can tell the guy is honest because he cusses. There's a popular article going around, or that did go around for a while, about how honest people are more likely to cuss. Okay, now time for the kicks. Wait, I want to check something real quick. I want to see how much you can see. Remember, this is still kind of new for me. Okay, it looks like everywhere the light touches. No, it's not. You cannot see everywhere the light touches. But that's okay, because if I'm standing and the normal path that I use when I do these, you will see most of it. So I did my warm-up of movement. Now I'm going to just practice all my individual kicks. And then at the end, I'm going to do another cool down of the movements, and then squats and, focus on the leg muscles. Whew. So, anyways, what was I saying? Oh yeah, so here he comes along, honest, says what's on his mind. People hate him. They're like, oh, well, I don't like the way he talks, blah, blah, blah. And in this video that I just told you about, the moment everyone started to hate Trump, he explains exactly when it was that people were told to hate Trump. And the media has pretty much done a witch hunt against him and all of his followers. So if you're not familiar with the reference, in Salem, Massachusetts, hundreds of years ago, a bunch of religious nut jobs ate some bread that had gone bad, and somehow had gotten lysergic acid or LSD in it, and they all started seeing crazy shit, hallucinating, and believing that there were witches in their community. So they went around burning whoever they could, and it was just this big fight where people were accusing each other of shit you couldn't prove that didn't make any sense, and then people were getting burned at the stake in punishment. And that's the sort of thing that has been going on with this leftist mob of people that hate Trump. So, enough backstory. Million MAGA March. If I'm correct, I do believe that there was a Trump supporter that got stabbed. So all these Trump supporters came, protested. They actually protested peacefully. They didn't assault anybody. They didn't burn anything down. They protested completely different than how the left does. When the left protests, they burn people's houses, they kill people, they shoot people, they stab people, they steal. There's just all sorts of shitty. And the media reports on it saying that it was a mostly peaceful protest. So what happened at the Million MAGA March was some guy got stabbed, and the media, of course, so peaceful Trump supporters, violent leftists come and counter-protest, which actually means assault and jump the Trump supporters, but in typical leftist fashion, they went for the women and the children, and then they got the shit beat out of them, rightfully so. And of course that was shown as these violent right-wingers, because the news really is fake. I mean, at this point, if you still think that the news is honest, then I can't really help you. But so anyways, the media covered it, saying that violence erupted. It just broke out. Like, no one knows where this thing came from. Like, it was just someone caught a cold and started spreading it. You know, that's how they do. The media is against personal responsibility, which is why they fit in so well with the left. So the point I wanted to make here, I'm about to get into the crust of my arguments for the night, what I actually wrote down to talk about without all these forwards and whatnot. You know, people see Antifa and they're like, what the hell? What do we do? Why aren't the cops doing anything? What are Antifa? What is it? Why don't the cops stop them? Why do they just keep allowing this to happen? Now, I don't know if you noticed this just now, but I had a mini brain fart. I had a thought process I was about to come out with, but I forgot it. And so I just jumped into what I knew I had written down to say or talk about. So, what is Antifa? You know what? I'm going to check this. I don't want to edit any of these either. Simply cause. Why? Simply cause. Oh, yeah. So, yeah, here's what I forgot. Look, Antifa, they are victims, some of them, of this, like, Trump derangement syndrome. They think that there are witches in town, and they have to burn us at the stake to see who actually catches fire and who flies away, because they're crazy. And so they think everyone is a Nazi or a fascist or whatever. And this is largely because the media, because the news says this. They tell them this. And so they don't know. You know, it's not like our enemy is only crazy communist SJW people. A lot of them are just regular-ish people that were lied to over years by their public school and by CNN and CNBC or whatever. Into thinking, God, my legs are still sore from the other night. Into thinking, this is why I'm not kicking a pad, because this sort of thing is more relaxing to me, and I'm tired and sore. So, what was I saying? Oh, yeah. So there, you know, our enemy really is the news, is the false narrative, but we need to understand what Antifa are. We need to understand what's going on at these protests. Really. So, people want the cops to stop Antifa, but there's this problem, you see, that let's say you got 10 dudes in masks, and you have one of them throws a brick and hits somebody, and then they blend in. Well, what everyone on the right wants to do, because we care about the rule of law, is we want to find out who threw the brick. Which one of them threw the brick? And where we really mess up is we give a shit about the other ones that didn't throw the brick, and we don't want to punish them. We show mercy on their quote-unquote innocence, but they're not innocent. Now, I want to talk about the whole reason that the right wing cares about rule of law and the left doesn't. And it's a fundamental principle. It's a fundamental difference between our principles. I'm going to work on my hook kicks. First, standing still, front leg hook kicks. They look terrible. Hook kicks are best done in a spin. I'll show you. This is a standing hook kick. Doesn't look that cool, but if I do a spinning hook kick, still doesn't look that cool, but it has a lot more power. Oh, yeah, my balance is off. When you kick, you have your kicking leg and you have your base leg. And a lot of people, they just focus on their kicking leg. They forget about their base leg. So when I'm spinning, here, look. I want you to look. I'm going to do this twice. Okay. Most people, they look at the kicking leg, which is obviously the leg that just went through the air. But what's most important is this leg that pivots. Because if I pivot too slowly, then I kind of come off balance. Now, most people, when they practice kicks, it's a lot easier to practice on the kicking leg than it is a pivot leg. Pivoting is really the secret to getting good kicks in. I don't know what occasion people are doing fireworks, but people love doing fireworks around here. So, the principal difference between the left and the right. The right care about rule of law, but why? See, in a free society, there are the freedoms to succeed and the freedoms to fail. What it means is that if you make a really good business decision, you can enjoy the benefits of the profits, but it also means if you make a bad decision, then you can enjoy the, well, I should say suffer the consequences. You'll lose money. And think of it like in Batman, you know, The Dark Knight Rises, which, spoiler alert if you haven't seen it. You know when Batman's in the prison. Oh, wait, is that Sniffs? I'm going to feed my kitty cat while I'm talking, because I haven't fed her yet. I didn't see her. Is that her? Oh, no, that's Beatrice. Never mind. So, Batman, he ties this rope around his waist and is trying to jump to the other side of the wall to climb up out of this pit. You know, he's trapped in this like giant well, and you can see outside. You can see the night sky. That's what makes this prison such a hell, because freedom is just right there. And what everyone does is they tie this rope around them, so they climb up on the wall, and then there's one part where you have to jump, but the rope catches you, and you swing down, and it saves you from falling, because once you get to that part, you're like 100 feet up or so, and if you fall, you probably die. Now, Batman realizes, being Batman, that in order to make the jump, he has to take off the rope, right? So if you look at this in terms of capitalism and socialism, capitalism is when you physically free yourself from that which restrains you, which is the rope. You can jump and you're free to miss and fall to your death, as in lose money, or if you can grab that wall and climb up. But if you have that rope on you, which would be, regulations and taxes and laws and all these long lists. I mean, there's like thousands of pages of business regulations and licenses you have to do. Taxes, there's all sorts of taxes you have to pay. If you want to start a business, you're going to be spending more time figuring out how to jump through government red tape and make sure you're not breaking some law so they can steal all your money that you earn than actually thinking about how to handle your business, which that sucks. That takes the fun out of it for most people. But that is what that rope is. If you get rid of that rope, then, if we really had a free market, then people could much easier bring themselves out of poverty. And this is why socialism and communism, and I use them interchangeably, they're basically the same shit. They're fucking stupid. I wanna check. Oh yeah, I did. I got all that stuff. Cool. So, communists, socialists, they care so much about the safety net because they don't understand. You know what? I'm gonna kick this thing because there's only so much I can do with just plain old floor drills without getting bored. I'm going to bring this over there. And my legs are tight. I don't know why. I think it's my 6 hours of sleep less, or actually less than 6 hours of sleep. I need to be getting at least 6 hours of sleep every night. So, socialism, communism. I'm just going to say communism because they're all fucking communists. Communism, or communists, are obsessed with this weird notion that has never really existed throughout history of a social safety net. You see, they think that if you just take all the money from the richest people and give it to all the poor people, you're going to cut off the most greedy, bad people because they hate greed. And to them, what greed means is that if you have more than other people and you don't give all your stuff away, then you're a greedy monster. In fact, simply by having more than other people to begin with, you're a greedy person, because they don't understand how wealth or prosperity can exist. Or maybe they do understand it and they just don't really care. They are blinded by their thirst for free shit. But I'll talk about that some other time. Stay with me. I criticize communists. I will tear them apart philosophically in every way that I can conceptualize of, because they are evil. At worst, they are evil, and at best, they are naive. So here's why they're naive. Outside of any historical precedence of this happening, they think that if you just give the government enough power and authority, they will give us a safety net with all the rich people's money that will somehow exist forever. And everyone's basic needs will be met. So it's like this, right? Let's say here's a chart, okay? Now, in capitalism, you are free to fail and go way down here at the bottom. True poverty, homeless, But you're also free to, maybe you were a libertarian in 2010 and bought $10 worth of Bitcoin. You're way up here. You're super rich. But socialists, they think, well, we'll just get rid of both extremes and keep everyone here in the middle. We're going to force everyone to be middle class. And there's only going to be one class, it's middle class. Now, the problem with this is, first off, in capitalism, when you have a bunch of people who have the opportunity to make more and more and more money, well, there are going to be natural safety nets that just develop without any sort of government help. Just one silly thing I can think of off the top of my head is that for years I didn't have a car, I caught the bus, and yet I could still get rides from people. People would give me rides to get to wherever I needed to go. Now that I have a car, I give other people rides, sort of to pay it forward, but also because I know what it's like to not have a car. And I need to focus more on my pivoting. Here's the problem that I have when I'm practicing kicks is I get focused too much on the kick itself and not the turn. If I focus more on the turning foot, I would do better. So what I need to do is focus on just pivoting knees like that. That's actually a really good idea. So, socialism, though, it keeps everyone in this middle class, but it's a constantly sinking middle class because there are no more rich people to tax, and eventually you run out of other people's money. You know, all the incentive goes away. If everyone's wearing the rope, no one climbs out of the well. And Antifa, these commies, they don't understand this. They don't care. They're blinded. So, let's see. Oh yeah. So, this mindset, though, that we need to make sure everyone's most basic needs are protected, is really pathetic. It's a really pathetic, naive mindset. Because, I mean, first off, humans are not zoo animals, okay? We figured out how to take the atom and split it. We figured out how to take metal, you know, this heavy thing that falls real fast when you drop, well, no, obviously not, but this heavy thing that sinks in water, we figured out how to make metal float through the air at fast speeds and take us to other sides of the planet. You know, human as a race, as a species or whatever, is incredible. We can do so much cool shit. And these stupid fucking communists think that we need the government's handouts to be able to eat. This is literally what they think. They have a book called The Conquest of Bread. It's written by some Marx character. I forgot which one it was. Kropotkin or Proudhon or Bookchin. What kind of a stupid ass name is Bookchin? But all these dudes fucking, you know, had the syphilitis, these big disheveled beards, never worked a day in their lives, and they believed that they knew everything there was to know about how economics works. So this guy comes up with this book called The Conquest of Bread, and he thinks that what we need, you see, is government organization to give everyone free stuff. And that's the only way that everyone can eat. Without government intervention in the market, everyone starves. The problem with this, though, is that that's not historically accurate at all. Capitalism has existed since the agricultural revolution. See, people on the left will say, no, it didn't. It's an industrial revolution thing. Well, no. You know why I say agricultural revolution? Because if you look up the definition of capitalism, it is private ownership of the means of production. That means that the second that some nomad thought, you know what, I'm going to build a fence around this shit. And he built a fence around that shit, figured out farming. That was a capitalist. Private ownership. He had private ownership over his farm, over his lands, over his animals or whatever, and figured out that if each person takes responsibility over the outcome of their choices, then you're going to have a society with more incentives for people to be successful. You know, I like this. I like exercising. I like kicking while talking about philosophy and economics at the same time. It's nice. It's a cool thing. I get used to this. Please help me make a career out of this, or at least a decent side hustle, and drop me some of that Bitty coins, which I can convert into Litecoins or some Cardano or some Ethereums. I'm not, I don't discriminate when it comes to cryptocurrency, at least. Or on Subscribestar. I've got several tiers you can join. So these guys were capitalists. These agricultural revolution dudes, capitalists. And then you know what happened? They created all this prosperity, see? And so some guy had the bright idea to say, hey, you know what? I am a king. And that means you have to give me 30% of what you make. And so these original capitalists were leashed. They were caged. Well, not physically caged. I mean, some of them were. but they were, reined in. They were controlled by the kings and monarchs and feudal lords, serfdoms and kingdoms and empires. They didn't get to have true ownership of their stuff for very long. But you couldn't have kings without private property first, because private property created the prosperity for kings to steal, so kings could then have their gold and their, kingdoms and whatnot. So, and I know communists are going to say, well, those weren't real capitalists, blah, 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 for whatever reason. They didn't call it capitalism. They didn't know. Well, communists will love to tell you. Ask them about the Paleolithic people, the Neolithic dudes or whatever. They love telling you how our greatest ancestors, they shared everything. They had communal property. They were real communists. Well, did they call it communism? No, they didn't. So, why are you tripping? Whew. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to do a little bit more kicks, then I'm going to do some shit I don't like to do, but it's good for me. All right. I'm reading my notes. This is interesting. Let's see. Okay, so Antifa, the gist. Oh, and you know what? I think I'll try and do a timestamp in the description. Why not? Oh, at this point you can click here and you'll get to this. Click here and you'll get to that. Blah blah blah. So this brings us to Antifa. What are Antifa? Who are Antifa? How are Antifa? Why are Antifa? When are Antifa? Antifa started in the early 1920s or 1930s. And the idea of it was if you worked in a factory, and everyone knows communists hate factories. They think that they deserve to own the factory if you work in a factory, which makes perfect sense. I just got a job at McDonald's, and so I told my boss, I'm like, look, dude, this is my store, okay? I'm going to get all the profits because I'm a worker here. I'm just playing. I don't work at McDonald's, but I am Ronald McDonald in secret. Isn't it funny? Ronald McDonald has murdered far more people than any other serial killer clown in all of fiction. Like, you combine all of them, and Ronald McDonald is just this, god of death compared to all of them. Anyways, dude, I go off on tangents. So, what was I saying? Oh, yeah, Antifa. Who, what, when, where, why? Early 1920s, when all these stupid communists were coming up with ways to fuck the system, they said, I got to work on my balance. I got to slow down. They said, you know what? We're going to, what was it? Throw wrenches in the machines. Like a cog in a machine. They said, we're going to break things and organize, and we're all going to wear masks. The origins of the Antifa as we know it started with these, people that were trying to sabotage factory machines. And so they organized some protests, and they decided we're all going to create a black bloc, right? So what that meant is you get everyone wearing the same black mask and black face, black hat, black clothes, black shirt, black pants. They all hide their identities. That way you don't know which worker was where, so you can't fire him. So you can't arrest him for breaking machines. Because when the workers were getting replaced by automation, which is what capitalism does, it innovates, Another quick tangent. These absolute retards think that, no offense to, people with actual retardations, you're not nearly in any way as mentally handicapped as a fucking communist. They had, they would disguise themselves so they could destroy things together in a big group and hide their identities. And over time, and wait a second, I keep brain farting because I'm not fully paying attention. It's interesting though. It's interesting not paying complete attention. Oh yeah, I remember what I was going to say. So, they call themselves anti-fascist, but they weren't against fascism in the same way that, libertarians or even Republicans are against fascism. You see, libertarian Republican is against fascism because it means government control over every aspect of our lives. It means an end to personal freedom. But communists don't care about personal freedom. The only thing they care about is power. And they don't want anyone else to be in power for any other reason. A fascist wants to take power so he can preserve his nation or his people or a certain specific way of life. Funny enough, though, the original fascists were simply socialists who pretended to respect private property rights. That was the original, according to Mussolini, that's what a fascist was. But, as everyone knows, a fascist is simply someone who wants a totalitarian government for this specific reason. But a communist is someone who wants a totalitarian government for this specific reason. And that reason is equality and whatever virtue they think they have that's stupid. So anyways, these Antifa dudes started protesting and rioting and fighting, and in modern times, Antifa has evolved into this very organized, without strict leaders, of course, but it's a mob. It is a mob. It's a living mob, gang type structure, where people are organized into 3 different camps. If you're in the green camp, then this means, so it's like a stoplight, red, yellow, green. If it's green, sorry, I'm going to stop saying that word. I don't know what words you can say on YouTube. I'm going to just say dummy. How about that? If you're a green Antifa dummy, then that means you're pretty much just there to show up and make some noise. We'll cheer and wave signs and shit like that. If you are yellow, then that means you're willing to destroy property, but not hurt people. And if you are red, then that means you're willing to destroy property, hurt people, do whatever it takes. And so, when you see an Antifa protest going on these days, there's 3 different types of them in that crowd. And most of them might be green. But you see, they all planned this out. The green ones are there to provide cover for the red ones and the yellow ones. So, us libertarian, Republican, conservative, whatever type, we care about the rule of law because we like to see freedom. We want natural selection in the economy. We want to see good choices rewarded and bad choices punished. And this is, interestingly enough, what creates more opportunities for the poor people over time. However, when you take away the punishments and the rewards, it doesn't even have to be, like prison. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about you lose money. Simple as that. Then, we like to see that because that creates the best society. It's the most moral. We don't like people not being able to predict what happens. We like reason. We like to see patterns. We like to know that if I make a good business choice, then I get to benefit from it. But the communists, they don't want that, So, to us, we think of everyone in that mob as an individual. That's where we fuck up. We think of everyone in that mob as an individual person, and if one of them throws a brick at us, we want to punish just that one guy who threw the brick. When what we really should be doing is treating them like the mob that they are. Treat them like the Borg. If one of them throws a brick, they all threw that brick. They don't want individual rights. They don't want individual freedom. They don't want, repercussions for their actions. They don't want to pay for their student loans that they willingly took out, signing a contract, knowing what they were doing. They don't want to, they don't want any sort of responsibility. So if one of them throws a brick, you punish all of them for throwing a brick. They're there to hide that guy. They're there to keep that person from getting arrested. At best, you can punish all of them for aiding and abetting whatever the worst one of them is found doing. If one of them throws a brick or assaults somebody, they are all accountable for aiding and abetting an assault. If one of them shoots someone, they're all accomplices. Every last one of them. This whole get them for social distancing, get them for hiding their identity. Back before COVID, it was get them for wearing a mask in public. No, you should have the right to wear a mask in public as long as you're not robbing a bank. You know what? For example, I live in a place with a lot of sunlight, and I'm a ginger. So if I don't want to expose myself to deadly sun's rays, I got myself on the shin with that one, then I shouldn't have to. You know what I mean? I should be able to wear a mask. No one cared who I was until I put on the mask. But Antifa, they do that shit to take advantage of our individuality, our concern for individual freedoms and individual rights. So, take it away from them. That's how you handle Antifa. You treat them like the Borg, because that's what they want. Treat them the way that they want to be treated. That's like the golden rule, right? It's kind of like the golden rule. I'm not a fan of the golden rule, but treat them the way they want to be treated. They don't treat us the way we want to be treated, but they treat us like we are the absolute worst. They treat any single one of us as if we are the worst one among us. And there aren't even Nazis amongst us. Come on. That's silly. At best, they're race realists, which is far from a Nazi. Okay. I'm going to go over this real quick as I do a Mahal stance. I might do doubles. I might try to do doubles, although I don't know. I don't know if I can do doubles. I'm going to read this. Let's see. Make sure I said everything that I said I would. Everyone's just waiting for the cops to do something, and the cops are largely on their side. Cops, the difference between a cop and an Antifa is the uniform. That's really it, and the stage of their power. If the U.S. government was weakened, then cops will be doing the same shit Antifa is doing. For the most part, cops are paid thugs of the state. And Antifa are paid thugs of George Soros, or whoever's in charge of them. I don't know. It doesn't really matter. A lot of them are not paid. Come on. There's too many of them. They can't all be paid actors. That's silly. But some of them are, of course. The ones that get shipped in and out. My legs do not like this. Okay. God, my legs are tired. Okay, I kind of found some stuff. So, this is a spoiler for a really good movie, Idiocracy. If you haven't seen it, you should watch it. But there is I'm going to repeat this so fucking many times. Idiocracy was a movie about the degradation of mankind. Hundreds of years in the future, what if only dumb people have a lot of kids? And so people just get dumber and dumber and dumber. Well, in the future, this guy wakes up in the future, 500 years from now, and he's a guy, like a normal guy from our time, but he's surrounded by total low IQ smooth brains. And he tells someone, you know, if we can just go back in time, I can fix things. And this guy's like, well, I don't know how to do that. And he's like, no one ever invented a time machine? And he said, if you help us go back in time, I can make you a billionaire. And the guy's like, ooh, really? I want to be a billionaire. And so they travel throughout the whole movie looking for this time machine, and this guy's leading them to it. And when you get there, and it turns out there isn't a time machine. It's not really, no one invented a time machine. I mean, think about it. If people are just getting dumber and dumber, how is someone going to invent a time machine? It doesn't make sense. Which is a very important point for everyone to understand. If humans in general are getting dumber, how are we going to come up with cooler shit? Now, there's a reason we came up with, we went to the moon in the 60s, and we haven't been back. Anyways, that's a BitChute video. Let's see, what was I going to say? Oh yeah, so they finally get there, and he's like, yeah, I made it up. I made it up because I wanted to be a billionaire. Forgetting that you need the time machine for him to have been able to become a billionaire in the first place. Communists are like this when it comes to economics. They ignore economics because they just want free stuff. They want free stuff. It doesn't matter that once you understand economics, you realize there's no such thing as a free lunch. That's like the first rule. There is no steal from the rich to live a happy life. That doesn't last. It's not sustainable. Rich people are smart. They figure out how to keep their money. Whew. Watching me look at this video thinking, oh, I held that for 3 minutes, and it's like 18 seconds, not even that. Oh yeah. Communism, I think, could partially, if you understand, like, maybe part of the psychological appeal this has to people is like, it's an emergency plan. You know, if you get lost in the woods and you're with a group of people and some guy has like 6 power bars and another guy has 3, another guy has 1, you know, we all want to survive through these woods together, and we're all trying to get saved, so we're going to share our food. We pool all of our resources to help each other out. And that's a good thing in an emergency situation. People had to be that way for a long ass time before we started figuring out how to conquer nature. The conquest of bread, what a fucking stupid idea. Go to Target, you can buy a whole loaf of bread for like $1, like $1.50. That's you can get some artisan bread. Come on, I think we've got bread covered. Stupid fucking communists. So anyways, oh yeah, it's like an emergency mentality. I think some of it is these people, and I do feel bad for some of them. I really do, because a lot of them were like me in some ways, beaten down as kids. Maybe they were neglected, abandoned in some way. Most of them come from rich backgrounds. They had wealthy parents who paid for their way to go to college, and maybe went to a private school. But either way, they never really learned the value of $1, the value of working. And I think that's a big loss. That's something that everyone needs to understand early on. But even worse, I bet a lot of them were given up to nannies and daycares. And you know what that does to kids. It can establish the same feelings of abandonment as like actual orphans. You send a kid to daycare for a long enough time, and they'll feel like he was abandoned. So they get this sense of there's no one to protect me, this hopelessness, this fear, and they find out about this system that makes sure everyone has their basic needs met, which their parents didn't do for them. Of course, that's got to be very alluring. And of course, that's some of them. A lot of them really are just power-hungry megalomaniacs. But I think those types are more in the minority. I think most of them are just naive, misled. Here's the thing about men, and, well, not just men, just humans. You know, humans, we have a lot of passion and energy, and we're kind of like a time bomb, you know? we have all this desire to change things for the better, to fix things. And if our beliefs about the world are restricted to some stupid ideas, then when it actually comes time for us to have any sort of power or ability to change things, whether it be by, starting a business of our own, or a blog, or YouTube videos, or going out in the street and making signs and, throwing rocks at cops or whatever it is that these people do. Not cops. Of course they don't attack cops. They love the government. They want government to give them everything for free. You know what really pisses me off about Antifa is that a lot of these people call themselves anarcho-communists, which is an oxymoron because communism requires rulers. They, anarcho means without rulers, and communism means, it means the lack of private property, the lack of trade, an end of economics. Everyone shares everything. Communal everything, which is hell. That is not a sort of world that any sane person wants to live in. My legs are not liking that. Well, I think they are liking it. But so, anyways, this communal property ideal, give me a sec. I hope you like this video. I hope this is informative and entertaining. Yeah, so, okay. Communism can only work in one of two ways. And you look at the political spectrum map, right? You see, you have the authoritarian top two big squares and then the libertarian bottom two squares. Well, that's not really realistic. Communism is all authoritarian. The only thing that changes is the type of authority. If you have a government communist, national communism, then, that means you're going to have gulags and Stalin and people like that. But if you have libertarian communism, which is just as oxymoronic as anarcho-communism, it means that you're going to have communism by mob. You're going to have SJWs crowding around your house because they saw something you tweeted 6 years ago. They drag you out and they chop your head off in a guillotine. And they say that is libertarian. That's anarcho. Oh, you ran a business? Off with your head. That's libertarian, anarcho-communist. Except it's not going to be a government that does it. It's going to be 30 dudes, skinny dudes, who probably work at Starbucks, wearing masks and backpacks filled with spray paint, who beat you over the head when you're not looking with a skateboard. And then if anyone stops them, they act like they're the oppressed ones. It's really, really stupid. God, my balance is off. I'm going to do these slower. So, line up. Bam. If I go slower, I'm fine. It's when I speed up. That's often the case in life. If you go too fast, if you rush through things, you make mistakes. If you slow down, pay attention, then things work out better. God, like communists. They go through things so fast. They say, well, if I don't have all this stuff I need now, then it's never going to happen and the game is rigged. If, we got to figure out who is responsible for all the ills in the world. It's all the capitalist's fault. And the victim is only ever the workers. It is the worker who is responsible for all the good in the world, which is just as stupid as saying it's the capitalist that's responsible for all the good in the world or the bad in the world. It's everybody. Everyone plays their part in a true economy. Let's see. I think I'm about done. I need to see if there's anything else I got. Criticizing incomes. Incomes are stupid. Blah, blah, blah. Blah, 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 blah. Yeah, so what really pisses me off about Antifa is they make people think that anarchy couldn't work. They hear anarchy, and the first thing that pops in their head is these smooth brains in their masks burning shit down in Oregon and Portland. And of course you're going to think it's stupid. That is stupid. Those people are stupid. But anarchy is not stupid. Anarchy means no rulers. But interestingly enough, the only system that can have consistent rules, a real, true rule of law, is one without any government at all. And the reason I say that is because government, no matter what system you have, no matter how free market or freedom-loving it is, this is including the United States in all of its heydays, is government always is exempt from the rules. You know, no matter how much freedom that you have, how much good rules you have, government is always able to get around the rules. So the rules don't apply to them. You cannot have freedom when there's one class of people that are completely exempt from it. But you tell that to someone now, and they think, well, wait a second, you want a society without government? What are you, some kind of Antifa? And it's just, you know, they poison the well. Freedom from consequences, which is what communists want, is not freedom at all. It is infantilization. It is treating human beings like children, like less than children, like babies. Because even children get to experience the consequences of their actions. Even peaceful parents, they will allow their kid to suffer if it's very minor as a consequence, if it's a natural consequence, and they will allow their kid to benefit from good choices, just like in reality, just like when you're an adult. But when you're a baby, they protect you from all negative consequences because you don't learn at that point. The only thing you need to learn as a baby is that you're loved and that you are protected and how to walk. And that's about it. Other than that, babies don't need to be doing much at all. Learning, basics of what's around them and growing. And then after they're several months old or whatever, then they really start to learn about, who is who and what is what. That's when that journey begins. But the first thing, the most important thing for a baby to learn is that they're safe and that they're loved. And if you don't get that when you start out life, well, it can affect your subconscious until you're dead for decades, even 100 years. That's why it's so important to be a good parent if you're lucky enough to have kids. And it's so important to understand that a lot of these communists are not monsters. They're people who just didn't really get that feeling from their parents that they were cared about. And so they expect this, a fake parent, a pretend parent, an adoptive parent, maybe. The government, they want the government to provide all of these feelings to them that their real parents did not. I think that's about it. Oh, I did write down a few more things. Number one is we need to have mostly peaceful protests at CNN headquarters. I think it would, we need to be inclusive, you know what I mean? They need to understand that Black Lives Matter too. We need to have mostly peaceful protests at CNN headquarters. We need to what else? Oh yeah, so yeah, these Antifa, these commies, they're obsessed with democracy, right? Of all the so-called American values that they could have picked to obsess over or to glorify, what were some of the things I listed down? Rule of law, financial freedom, free speech, right to a fair trial. No. Nope. Voting. Voting is what they think is the most essential right. Voting is two wolves and a sheep voting on what's for dinner. Voting is gang rape. Voting is 51% deciding to kill 49%. and steal all their money. It's not a virtue. It is, at best, a method to minimize corruption. However, it has been proved not to work at all the way that people want it to. I wonder if my legs really... yeah. So, they have the wrong priorities, and it really shows that public school has failed. Public school, aka socialist government school, has failed. Alright, you guys, thank you for watching my videos. I know it was sloppy and long and filled with a lot of rambling, but I don't want to edit these videos because that just puts one more barrier between me and uploading, as well as it can give me the excuse to move slower when I'm exercising, which, as you can see, I'm already kind of doing, but I think some of that is because I'm trying to talk at the same time. I plan on getting better at that. Alright, thank you, have a great night, and like I said before, if you like this, please comment, like and subscribe and share, and please, 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 donate just a little bit, just gives me that, just tree fitty, just hop on my Bitcoin down there and you know, figure out how to convert tree fitty into Bitcoin, and just give me some tree fitty, or give me tree fitty Bitcoin, you know, tree Bitcoin plus 0.50 Bitcoin, or 50 whole Bitcoin. I would not hold that against you whatsoever. In fact, I would be most enamored with you. I would be very, very grateful and appreciative. And in fact, I would DM you a picture of a part of my body, probably my two thumbs going like this, or my hands giving you a nice, appreciative golf clap. That was not a golf clap, this is a golf clap. This was just a regular normal clap. Alright, you guys, peace. Thank you for your time and attention.